Good morning, everyone. I'm Toby from Ealing and Hounslow CVS, and with me is Salli Ward from Brent CVS, who's going to be delivering today's report writing training. So first of all, welcome to everyone. We'll just
Hello,
wait a few
everyone.
minutes to get everyone in. We had really good sign up for this training, which is good, and it's great to be doing some that everyone wants to know how to write better report writing. So it's great to do something that's going to help people in so many different aspects of their work. So yeah, if you can just all start off by popping yourself on mute, and maybe if we just start with the introductions, if you'd like to just introduce yourself in the chat, and there will be plenty of opportunity throughout the morning to talk to other people and in the breakout rooms, and you can tell.
And I've got a little introductory exercise early on, but yeah, by all means, say hello in chat.
All right, so I'm just seeing how many people, if we've got any more people in the waiting room, and we don't at the moment. So I'm sure we'll probably have a few people trickling in, but I will keep an eye, Sally, on people in the waiting room and let them in. So yeah,
you want me to start then? Yeah.
Yes, please, over to you. Thank you.
Okay, I'll do my screen share thing. Ta-da! Oh, it says somebody's in the waiting room. Hi, everybody. I'm Sally from CVS Brent, and we're doing work even outside of this training with Ealing and Hounslow CVS, so we're very friendly with each other and hopefully with you today. I'm really pleased to be here doing this session because I think report writing is really important, and I've done a lot of it. I have to confess, I haven't got a PhD in report writing, if there is such a thing. I haven't got any qualifications in report writing as such, but I've got quite a lot of experience, both within the sector as part of my paid work, as a volunteer, and in other jobs that I've done, such as I've been a copywriter and copy editor. And yeah, loads of different things where report writing is an essential part of the job. The biggest job I've done, where I suppose I learned most of my report writing skills, was working with separated parents in court proceedings over their children and writing reports on family contact, that kind of a thing, and then having to present them in court, which is quite scary. So yeah, that's me basically. And what else do I need to tell you? We're going to have a little break halfway-ish, but it's not school, so don't put your hand up if you want to go to the toilet. Just go. Turn your sound off if the toilet's very close. We will be going into breakout groups 2 or 3 times, and hopefully Toby's got that sussed, because I'm quite scared of doing it. And we will be using Jamboard. For those who've used it before, you'll know what that means. If you haven't, it's dead easy, and don't worry. I think it would be a good idea to have a pen and paper near you if you haven't got one, just to scribble down things as you go along. You might scribble down questions about what's going on, although feel free to interrupt if it's a burning question, but it might be that something you want to ask a question about is coming up. So better to keep your questions about things that we've already covered, if for instance you're not clear or you want a bit more information, or you don't understand what I'm talking about. But that's fine. There's no strict rules, and there will be time before tomorrow's session for you to send me questions, and I'll tailor tomorrow's session around those things. But bear in mind, we're obviously not going to cover everything today because we have got tomorrow as well. What else do I need to tell you? Oh, when we break out into groups, we'll be doing some, well, even when we're not in groups, but when we're in groups, we'll be doing some work on the Jamboard pages. And it might pay, as soon as you're into a group, to say who's going to be the I want to say the scribe, but it's not actually writing, it's fiddling about with stick-it notes and things. You can do that any way you like, but one way that I suggest, rather than spending 10 minutes discussing who's going to be that person, is to have the person at the end of the alphabet, the person whose first name is nearest to Z. That's one way in which you can do it, unless that person thinks, oh my goodness, I don't want to do that. So I've got a presentation, which I hope isn't too boring. It's mostly just a trigger for me, what I'm saying. There are some pictures on it, which I hope will be entertaining, illustrative, or otherwise they're a part of my cunning psychological ploy for you to make some unconscious connection with what I'm saying. So if you get bored, you can look at the pictures and work out what it is I'm on about. That is it. I am going to, oh, I should have said, I'm really nervous about the technology. Don't mind at all doing training, and I've done a lot of training in my time, but this is my first time doing training online, and I'm really scared about what will happen. And I see that I can't put things into chat whilst I'm screen sharing. So I'm going to stop sharing. And I am going to put into chat a link to the Jamboard that I want you all to go to, if that's all right. If that makes sense. So you should be able to see that in chat, click on it, and then if you reduce the Zoom screen so that you can see the other tabs on your computer, and go to the Jamboard one. I hope that makes sense to people. You can even reduce the whole thing down if you want.
That's all working perfectly, just to let you know, Sally.
That's good. I'm not working perfectly though. I can't find the Jamboard. I'm just trying to reduce my screen. Oops. Oh, I know. I'll end the show. There we are. Okay. So I hope everyone can still hear me. We're now in the Jamboard, and you should be, for those who haven't used it before, this green arrow is pointing to where you find a sticky note. You click on the sticky note and then you write in it like that, and then you save it. And then if you don't want to do any more, you just cancel, and then you can move them around. So the exercise here is just a bit of fun and to get you using Jamboard. Think of what you had for breakfast or something else you did this morning and make a headline out of it, as if you're a Daily Mail journalist. Yeah. So just get a stick-it note, think what you did and make a headline. My example here being breakfast with 3 sausages, which I have to say isn't true. I did not have breakfast with 3 sausages. I'm a vegetarian apart from anything else. So is that clear? Is anybody puzzled by that? I haven't actually seen any coming yet, so. Ah, there we go. Somebody else had Frosties with milk. Muesli, every day the same. Ah. Still a few who haven't thought of a headline for what they did this morning. So you just go to the sticky note, write your headline in there, save it, and then move it to where you want it to be. That's how you do it. You can do fancy things like change the colour of the sticky note if you want, but you don't have to. Any more coming?
Hi, Sally. I just wanted to, sorry to interrupt you. I wanted to
That's all
ask
right.
you, where do we put this sticky note?
So on the Jamboard, have you clicked on the link that's in chat?
No.
You
not
click
yet.
on the link that's in chat,
Okay,
which starts jamboard.google.com.
right.
And it will take you to a page where everybody's doing their sticky notes.
Oh, right. I'll try that.
Yeah, have a go at
Thanks.
that.
Yeah.
Shanji, we seem to be viewing your screen for some reason. I'm not sure why that is.
That's better. We've gone back to the main Jamboard.
Yeah, we have.
No, I couldn't figure out. It didn't work. I can't see Jamboard anywhere.
Okay, don't worry, Shanji.
Okay.
Don't
Thank
worry. I'll just try and help you. It may be that you've got the Zoom session covering your whole screen, in which case you need to reduce it.
Yeah.
What do they call it?
No,
Leave.
it's reduced. It's
Minimize.
Yeah, leave full screen, or you could just minimize it and so that you can't see everybody anymore, or you can only see them in a small block.
Okay.
And then you can see your normal computer and how you normally get onto the internet there. And that's where you need to paste or just click straight onto the Jamboard link that I sent.
Okay, let me see.
Don't worry, we're doing this first exercise because it is a bit of a practice of getting onto Jamboard for when we use it later. It is the hardest bit of the technology, I think, is keeping more than one thing going at once. Is what I'm struggling with as well. Because when you do a screen share, which is why I'm not sharing my presentation right now, I don't know how to reduce the screen so that you can do other things as well. So on the Jamboard now, we've got a few headlines: granola with yogurt, a bit of a sad and serious one, unending war in Congo, banana and hot chocolate. Everyone's gone the breakfast route, which you didn't have to. Every day the same muesli. And then I don't know who wrote, just woke up and had shower before joining this meeting and I will have breakfast after this meeting. Sounds more like a Guardian headline than a Daily Mail one, but I understand that instinct. Best Buy coffee machine, Frosties with milk. Somebody's got a pen and is writing on the screen. You can't, there are different tools on the left, but the one that you want is the fourth one down, which is the sticky note. And you just click on it. So I don't know who was writing with the pen, but feel free to try out the different tools if you want. Warm water, then cup of tea. I will eat later. Did you have any success, Shanjeet?
No, not yet. I'm trying. I'm trying to get in through the computer.
All right. Okay. Well, don't worry too much. We'll have to work around it if you don't manage it, but hopefully you will.
I can see it.
You can see the Jamboard?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
No, I can say what I had.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah. Although don't worry at the moment. There's going to be a time for talking in the next exercise. This was just to try things out, really. So maybe when there is a minute or two of contemplation, you could carry on searching. Sorry you're struggling, and sorry I'm not expert enough to know how to help you very much. Jamboard is effectively a flip chart. And for those of you who don't know, I'm sure many of you do, in training, you know, when you use a flip chart and you ask people to go and put stick-it notes on it, it's just a electronic, distant, remote version of that, really. And if I was in a room with you all, I'd just have a flip chart and some pads of different colours and some nice marker pens for you to use. Okay, I think maybe people are ready to move on. And this next bit, we can keep trying with the Jamboard, and if you get any moments of freedom, go back to it and make sure you are familiar with it. We're using mainly the stick-it notes on it, and there will be just one other tool that we use later on, which is the highlighter. So that was really just to get our brains working and to get to have a look at Jamboard. Apologies at those who've struggled. I want us now to do a quick introduction to each other, and I want you to think of, I'm going to give you a minute and a half basically, and turn your video off if you don't want people to see you thinking, sitting there like that. And I want you, when you come back after the minute and a half, in turn, to say your name, obviously where you're from. Thank you for the introductions on the chat. I've been reading some of those. And mainly what the thinking time is about is what you want to get out of training, what you need to learn about report writing. Yeah. And then when we come back, I want us to feed back one at a time, but very quickly. You've only got one line. So you say your name, where you're from, what you want to get out of the training. Yeah. And then if you could say the name of the person next to you on your screen, or somebody else you know is here and they have their go, say the name of the next person. Yeah. So we're going to have 1.5 minutes. what 30 seconds is to me to fiddle around and get my countdown 60-second counter, and the rest of the time it will be counted down. So minute and a half, thinking caps on. See you in a minute and a half. Okay, hope everybody's had enough time. Just do a little more fiddling around. Okay, at the top of my screen, I have Yusuf. Would you like to start?
I'm Yusuf Gulet, and I'm from Horn of Africa Disability and Elderly Association based in West London, Lido Center. And I'm a volunteer manager.
And what are you wanting to get out of today?
We have been existed since 2005, but it was, you know, we can say manual before, but now the way you said is digital village. So we are trying to take advantage of this new technology, how best we can have.
Right.
In both writing. So this new technology, we are trying to see what benefit we can take from here today.
Mm. Okay, do you want to name another person, whoever's next to you on the screen?
I think the last person is Huma from LS.
Hi, thank you for passing me. And my name is Huma. I'm working for ILES. This is an organization which is working for BME community since last 16 years. And I think today's training is going to help me a lot because it is very much relevant to my work, and we have to report every day almost. So yeah, it's going to, it will be very beneficial for me indeed.
Okay, thank you. Do you want to name somebody else?
Okay, the next one is, okay, I would like to name Sharanjit.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. I'm Sharanjit from Sunshine of Hounslow organization, Health and Wellbeing. So for the funders, I would like to write a better reports for the outcome of our projects. So it'll be a skill for me to learn first time.
Great, thank you. Can you name somebody else?
Let me see who's next to me. Judith.
Judith.
Hello, my name's Judy Smith. I'm the local service manager for Sanctuary Supported Living in Hackney in London. We house single homeless adults. And I am so excited about being here. Thank you, Sally. It doesn't feel or sound as if you've not done this before online. What I'd like to do is basically we do communication notes every day, which are very factual, obviously. But I would like to teach my team basically to not have their own opinions or their own ideas within the communication notes. It has to be factual, and I'd like ways of seeing if we can.
Yeah.
Also, we do quite a few court reports and insurance claims for damage for misbehaving tenants. That's it, really.
Great.
To be here, thank you.
And where are you from originally?
Derby.
Oh, yeah. My husband's from Leicester, similar accent. Yeah. Would you like to name somebody else?
I've got Toby next to me.
Toby, you can have a go.
Yeah, so I'm Toby from Ealing and Hounslow CVS, and what I'm hoping to gain from this session is to be able to produce the most effective and impactful reports, basically to ensure future funding of projects. So reports that really bring things to light and really make an impression to make sure that funding continues.
Great, thank you. And who are you going to name?
Francisco.
Francisco? You'll have to unmute yourself.
Morning, everyone. Report writing will be a tool that will increase the capacity of communicating within the organization. I support a community of Portuguese-speaking residents in Oslo, and I'm looking at this as a tool that needs to be sharpened, not only for myself but for the organization itself, and will help us to communicate better.
Great. My Portuguese report writing isn't that good, I must warn you. I can talk a little bit about Brazilian drums if it's any use.
Yes, okay, that's fine. Later on we speak about a little sardines from Portugal, all right?
Who are you naming, Francisco, to go next?
To go next, I will name whom has already done? Joy?
Joy?
Morning, everyone.
Hello.
My name's Joy, and I'm from a charity called PESTS. It stands for Parents of Ealing Self-Help Training Scheme. And we support parents and carers of children with disabilities in London Borough of Ealing. What I'm hoping to get from today is how to present your report in like an engaging way to just bring out the passion that you feel into the report, so that the person that's reading it knows exactly how you're feeling, and they can share that passion with you. So it's quite hard to write a report like that, but if I can get some tips and ways of things to put in and what to say, that would be really, really helpful. Just bring the report to life, really.
Lovely. And who do you want to go next?
Next person, Stephanie.
Good morning, everyone. I work for Each Counselling and Support, and I have to write monthly reports as well as quarterly, etc. But what I'd really like to do is learn an engaging and interesting way of writing my reports, but also highlighting the quality of the work and the achievements of the team, but also critique and evaluation, so really working on those points as well.
Great, thank you. Do you want to name somebody else to go next?
Yeah, I'd like to name Anne, please.
Anne?
Hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Anne. Stephanie is my colleague. I work with each counseling and support. We normally do the monthly, quarterly report, which some of them are external and internal reports as well. And I think for me is to be able to capture, the work that the staff put in the work that we do, and in a very high quality way. And obviously, so I want to learn how to plan and to structure it, and even how I write it, so that it can be, once I present it, it will be clear.
Great, thank you. Name somebody else, please.
Huma has done it. Parul Patel.
Parul?
Hi, good morning. My name is Parul Patel, and I'm working in a sanctuary support and baby. I'm a, hello?
We're here.
Yeah, I'm a project worker, and I'm working in a residence care home, and I would like to teach in report writing. Like in my daily activities, I have to write the mail and the logbook as well. So I would like to teach in how to present the situations, and the how could I present my feelings to all to my managers and to my colleagues, that what can I write so they can understand easily.
Great, thank you. And can you name somebody else to go next?
Sorry, how could I see that?
Not to worry, not to worry, I'll pick on somebody. There's somebody next to you on my screen who's got a very interesting name of admin. I wonder if that person could tell us who they really are.
Hi everyone, my name is Celestine Malanda. I work with an organization called African Welfare and Training Center. Basically, we work with the refugee and asylum seeker who are originate from the French-speaking country, mainly the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Gabon, and so on. So what I'm hoping to get from this training is to be able to structure, the writing in a reasonable way, as a lot of things are happening in the Congo. We are producing a lot of refugees. So as one of the advocates of the refugee, we have got a lot to write to catch the attention of the policymaker and also other stakeholders who help us raise funds. So mainly I would like to be able to, to present a very good report, well structured,
Yeah. Lovely, thank you. Who's next to you on the screen? Do you want to name somebody? He's turned off his sound, so he can't. I've got Jimmy Shah next to Celestine.
Hi. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
My name is Jimmy Shah. I'm working as a deputy manager in Sanctuary Group in care home. So we are looking after learning disabled people, and just to maintain, like we write like logs every day for them. So their day-to-day activity which we need to record, and if some incidents happen that we need to record. So I feel this will really help me to write the report every day. So
great, thank you. And do you want to name somebody? Who hasn't been yet? Okay, we'll go with Layla, who's underneath Jimmy on my screen.
Good morning. My name is Layla. My name is Layla. I work for Elise. I'm the advice and employment coordinator for Elise, and normally we do write monthly reports for the organization and also for the funders. So what I'm looking to achieve from this session is to write obviously the best and outstanding reports, so that it could be beautiful, it could be nice, and you know, at least more presentable and more better than what I'm doing at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank
Lovely.
you.
Can you name somebody else to go next?
I'm going to name Chilisa Sajnani.
Yeah. Chalisa, lovely name.
Hello, good morning. So I'm Shalesa. I'm the local service manager for High Vocal and Rosary Priory. They are part of the Sanctuary Supported Living Group. We care for many different kind of people and support them in their daily lives. What I am looking to learn in this training is just to understand the updated terminology because I know it's ever changing. There are many words that can be used and should be used, and there are many words that shouldn't be used while writing reports. And I think it's very important for me and my colleagues to understand the words that shouldn't be used, especially while writing a report. So then it's a more effective and accurate report where it comes to, the lives of people and how we're explaining them in our words.
That's an interesting perspective. I think it's tomorrow we're going to be covering use of words. I'm not sure I've done exactly what it is you want, but I will relook at it and see what I can come up with. Thank you very much. Can you name somebody else? I don't think there's many people left now, but
Joy.
Who did you say, Shalisa? Joy. I think Joy's already been, haven't you, Joy?
I have, yes.
Yeah. I've got a Sanjeet on my screen who I don't think's been yet. Sanjeet, are you there? Unmute yourself.
I'm Sharanjit. I've done mine.
Yeah. Oh, here we are. Here's Sanjeet. You're still on mute, Sanjeet.
Hello.
There you go.
I'm Dhruvangi. I'm working at Sanctuary Supported Living. There is so many people, different type living, and we have to write log for them. So this report is it will be helpful for me.
Okay. Great, thank you. Is there anybody who hasn't fed back yet? Just shout up, take yourself off mute and shout if you still haven't said anything about what you want to get out of these sessions. No, I'm going to assume we've covered everybody then. So there's loads there. It's making me think, oh my goodness, I'll try and pack all that in. There's loads there. In general, I hope what I've already planned, and as I say, I will think about tomorrow with your feedback. In general, I think we're covering most of the areas that people have mentioned, but if you want at any point it to be in more detail, then do ask questions or do ask overnight for me to cover it tomorrow. I think somebody new has just joined us. Okay, I'm going to go back to screen sharing, and I do apologize that I've got to keep going back and forth screen sharing because I can't get it to stay. Can people see that? Toby, tell me if
Yes, Yes, yes.
You can't see, you can see my slides, yeah. So this one's called preparation, and we are going to, in a couple of minutes, go through the stages of a report. Obviously, every report is different, and it depends very much on what you're doing it for. But so some of the stages you'll think, well, I'm never going to include that, and you, in addition, you might want other ones that I don't include. But I hope it will. I'm working through a fairly standard structure of a report, which some people have mentioned wanting a structure. After the 2 sessions, I can let you have written information if you need any reminders. For instance, I could let you have a list of the sections that we're going to work our way through. So don't worry about making lots and lots of notes. I wanted you to have a pen and paper, but only to jot down your own ideas, etc. Anything you actually want, I can let you have later. But before you start on the structure, before you start at the beginning of the report, there's plenty of preparation to do. And in the main, it's about knowing who your report is for. It sounds obvious, but a lot of people do launch into a report that ends up being the wrong type of report because they haven't really thought about, well, who am I writing this for? So there's 2 aspects to that, which are on the slide. One is the purpose, which is about what do you want the result of this report to be? What do you want to happen? Why are you bothering doing it? So if you think about that, and I've expressed it here as your take-home message. So for instance, if you're writing a report for a funder on a project you've run, you want presumably your take-home message to be, hey, that was a really good project. That's the kind of thing we would want to fund again. And the second thing is, what do you want to happen as a result of your report? You might want to be funded again. You might want people to, it might be a report about an activity of your organisation. It might be really crucial. It might be a court report, and you want a judge to make a certain decision as a result of your report. So think about what your take-home message is, what you want people to do in response. So very connected with that, a lot of crossover is thinking about, well, who is this report written for? Who is it aimed at? And there'll be 1 or 2 key targets for your report, but it's also worth thinking about who else might see it, because reports don't always just stay with the target. They should do if they're super confidential ones, obviously, but there will be times when you're doing a report that's out there, perhaps in the public arena, and think about how it will come across. So for instance, you might do a report that's just an internal document for staff on how things are going, or introducing a new supervision system or something, but somebody could come across that and think, that looks a bit sloppy, or that doesn't read very well. And so you might want to think about even an internal report being presented and worded in a way that creates a professional look for you. So that's about thinking before you even start on the report and knowing who it's for. And then the other bit of preparation is getting the stuff you need. Much better to have planned things in advance, to have planned how you're going to collect the information that will go into the report, and to have found a way to record what actually happens. Unless it's a report on one event, one thing, it's probably going to be over a period of time. And so you'll need some kind of record of what's gone on. So that's no good if you get to write the report and then think, oh, well, what we could do with is reports of all those sessions we held, and you're scrabbling around for that information, which I'm sure we've all done. I've definitely done it, scrabbling around information. Certainly end of project reports to funding bodies. or any other stakeholders, you're suddenly thinking, oh, what can we say about this? What happened? Who was there? I'll go and ask them. What did they collect? Have we got any photos of that? Etc. Much better to write at the beginning. You know you're going to be writing a report on this in a week, a month, a year's time. Start planning what information you will collect and how you will collect it. I realise I've not got this on present because it's easier this way, so I'm going to keep it this way. We're going to go into breakout groups in a moment. Warning, Toby, he's in charge. And we're going to, in our groups, go back to Jamboard. So you'll be talking to people in your group, but you'll all be sharing Jamboard. And what this Jamboard is about is outcomes, which is the outcome of your report. What do you want to happen? Excuse me, I'm just finding out where I'm up to. So we're looking at purpose. What are you doing it for? And we're looking at identifying that purpose and then expressing that purpose, because they are slightly different things. So I want you to think about what you want in an imagined project or a real one, or imagined report that you're doing, or a real one. What do you want the outcome to be? And I should have mentioned when I introduced myself that I am a monitoring, evaluation and outcomes measurement officer. So outcomes are everything for me. I think they make the world go round. And so if you're not familiar with that idea, then use this opportunity to think about it. An outcome is the change that comes about as a result of the work that you do. So have a think about outcomes. I'm not going to go through them afterwards and mark them for you. It might be worth, as I said earlier on, selecting somebody in your group who can be the person who puts the sticky notes on the Jamboard, but you can all talk about it, yeah? And I just want a whole load of outcomes. So, are you ready to put people in groups, Toby?
Yes, I just want to check in the groups, is everyone going to be writing their the outcomes on the same Jamboard? They're still going
It's
to
the
be
same
using...
Jamboard, but if just one person in each group does the actual doing on the Jamboard. Yeah, does that make sense?
Yep, so I will have a go putting everyone into groups now.
Oh, and I should have said it's page 2 on Jamboard. I've just put it on there, but in case yours doesn't go.
So there is 17 of us. So I will basically do 6, 12, 8, 4 groups of, well, 3 groups of 6 and 1 of 5, 6, 12, 18. No, my maths is 6, 12, 18. What about I will do 3 groups of 6? Well, one of those would be 5. Does that sound good, Sally?
Yeah, whatever you think. You're in charge.
So everyone should start moving into their rooms shortly, and I will let everyone know. How long have they got, Sally, to do this?
That's a good point. We'll have 3 minutes. Yeah.
So Sally, not sure if you can hear me, but
yeah, I got you.
We've got 40 seconds and everyone will be back.
Yeah. I've sent you a message actually in the chat. Everybody back?
Yeah.
Okay, you've all been thrown out of your groups, but the Jamboard is still there. So if any of you think of anything to add, you can add anything throughout the whole session. And what I'm getting at is what you want the effect of your report to be. So not what you want the effect of learning about report writing to be, but what you actually what is the purpose behind your report. So if you just imagine or think of a report you've done or have to do, and then think, what do I want the effect of that to be? What am I trying to achieve? What's the purpose? As I said, I use the term outcome because I think it's a very valuable terminology, but it might be something that not everyone's familiar with. But if you think about, I'm sure you've all used it in your projects. You have to, when you get funding for a project, you have to say what the outcomes will be, what the impact will be. And so we're applying that in this case to the actual report. I'm suggesting that before you even set out on writing a report, think about what do you want the effect of this to be? What do you want to happen as a result of your report? If nothing at all will happen, if it makes no difference to anybody ever, anywhere ever, then there's no point in doing it. And I'm sure there is a point in doing all the reports you're ever involved in. So think about what the point is. So I could have put, instead of what's the outcome, I could have put what's the point. It might have sounded a bit challenging, and I don't mean it to sound rude. So
Sally,
yeah.
do you just want to pop your camera back on?
Oh yes, sorry. I didn't want you all to see me while I was fiddling about. Okay. But for now we'll move on, but bear in mind you can go back to that. I'm going to, I'll do my screen share again. Which is on the wrong slide, so don't get excited, there's no cakes yet. And I know I haven't got it on slideshow, by the way, again, it's easier for me to manipulate this way. It means you can cheat and look ahead. So again, before we start, or at the very start, before we
have to do a report later.
Sorry?
Oh, sorry, my mistake.
All right. We're going to look at style, presentation format, layout, what it actually looks like to a large extent. Yeah. And again, this is worth really thinking about before you even get going. There are lots of ways of using templates, which you may be more or equally familiar with as I am, that are available. And Word itself gives you plenty of them. So I'm not you don't have to be a graphic designer to present a report well. Although, having said that, I would say if you ever get a graphic designer to do the report for you, to produce it and publish it, you will be amazed at how professional it looks. However great we get at using the various things that are available to us, the apps and the sites. And Canva is one I use a lot of for data visualization. There's nothing like getting a professional to do it. I don't know if you'll know from, I expect everybody at some point has been involved in some way in doing an annual report for your charity. Yeah, and you can do a few sides of scruffy A4, thin, cheap A4 paper. Worth thinking about. I haven't listed it here, but worth thinking about the type of paper you use if it's going to be a hard copy. You know, scribbled together, tied together with a few clips, or you can have it actually done professionally, published, and it looks superb. Now, I am not for 1 minute recommending that you always get it professionally done, because goodness, it's expensive and it's a cost that you don't need. It's not entirely necessary, but there may be occasions when that's a decision you make. You want to produce a report, you want it to look incredibly professional, you want it to be taken very seriously, you want it to present your organization as one to be taken seriously. And so you might think about that. But assuming we're not thinking about getting it professionally done, we're just doing it ourselves, the key thing is to start with, again, thinking about the purpose, which was what we were just dealing with. What is the point of this report? And that will lead you to, therefore, what do I need it to look like? What message do you want it to relay? I used to work with adults with learning disabilities, and I don't know if any of you have made a application to the National Lottery Fund in recent times since they changed their style of application. So it's kind of like a report. It's a you just use your own words and pictures and charts and ideas to express what it is you want to do, following a kind of very well, what's the word, not a very strict structure that they give you. And I applied for these adults with learning difficulties, and the lottery at the time when they brought that out had a lot of emphasis on the user's voice, the beneficiary being part of it. So I got a bunch of adults with learning disabilities that I was working with to write their own words. Obviously helped them a bit and messed about with it a bit, but it went into this presentation to the lottery pretty much as they'd said it, and I thought it was lovely. And then my trustees read through it, and without talking to me about it, changed this bit done by adults with learning disabilities and made it all into what I call posh English. I'm good at posh English, but it wasn't appropriate there. Made it all into very posh English, long words, proper terminology for things. And I had to say to them, you've missed the point. I deliberately let it have that tone because I knew that this is what the lottery were asking for, to have some of it in the voice of the beneficiary. So that proves how important it is to think about purpose and who your audience is. But then we get on to very practical things like, are you going to have a title page? Some people do, some people don't. Kind of looks nice. What colours are you going to use? Can be good to tie them in with, if you've got a set of colours or a colour you use for your logo or for your other communications. What font are you going to have it in? Simple things like this. There's been a lot of jokes in recent years about Comic Sans font not looking professional, and it doesn't, but it does look fun, and that might be what you want to portray. Are you going to have a border on your pages? Are you going to use any graphics, any data visualization, or just photos? Are you going to do references? I'm sure you've all done academic essays in the past where there's a set way to reference. There isn't in a report, but do think about it. Are you going to have footnotes? Are you going to have things in brackets? It is a good idea most of the time when you do a report to at least show you're not just making it up. If you say something, you've taken it from somewhere, so reference it. Are you going to have a hard copy? or is it just going to be available electronic? If it is, recommend you save it as a PDF. Don't put a Word document out there. Apart from the fact people can change it, if it's in Word, it sometimes the format goes skew with. So just these little practicals to think about what it actually looks like and how it comes across and what impression that gives. If you look at this, for instance, this is 2 different reports, and then I've got 2 more coming up, but have a look at these 2 for a time being. Put your unmute yourselves, please, and I want just some throw out comments from you about what these reports are telling you, and perhaps what the difference is between them. What is it saying? To you, does it say professional, amateur, scruffy, fun, serious, academic? What is it saying? Take yourselves off mute and just shout out some of your ideas.
One on the left is fun and the one on the right is boring.
Yeah, I think most people would agree with that. But if the one on the left was going to was in a big case over, I know it's not, it says what it is, it's an annual report, but if it was a big case in court on where children should live, with which parent after following separation, I'm guessing that wouldn't be the right one. Any other comments?
I would say that the right one looks like professional report, and on the left side is just informal.
Yes, I would agree with you. The one on the right looks very professional, and then it looks like it's been done, it's been printed properly, hasn't it, by a design company.
Yeah.
You probably couldn't do that yourself very easily unless you're a total whiz at things like that.
The left one also can be said, 16, 17, 15, 17, maybe it was not put into a cabinet, and then maybe children did something on top of it.
Yeah.
The left one.
Yeah, the timeout group, yeah. One reason I don't like this timeout group one is that O should be a capital. I hate mixed upper and lower case, so that's driving me mad. I have to confess, the one on the left was the organisation I worked for that I was telling you about, adults with learning disabilities. I didn't design that logo, but it was there when I went and drove me mad the whole time. But I did produce that report, and it was just slung together. It was before I'd learned some of the things I can do now, not that I'm a complete whiz. And it was fairly informal. It was a tiny little group with on very little funding, so that was adequate for the purpose. Have a look at these 2. Any comments on these 2, the difference between them, what impressions either or both of them give to you?
The one on the left is going to be much more user-friendly and entices you to read it. They're thinking about their audience. The one on the right just looks completely dull, will be full of jargon.
Yeah.
It's not easy to read.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the one on the left, I just got this off the internet, so I'm not have no stake in it at all. I think it looks quite sweet, quite inviting. I like the picture. On the other hand, from the title that it's not, it's not a kiddie thing. It's a serious issue. So you might say they should have had a more serious thing, but even serious issues, you want people to engage with them. You want people to be invited in. So sometimes, using an illustration, even if it's a bit of a fun one, it just doesn't do any harm. It invites people to look. But nobody is feeling invited to look at a guide for authorized persons, I presume.
No.
That one is a guide for authorized persons who are authorized to marry people in church, which I am. So that's where I got that one from. It is incredibly boring because it's mostly about legalities, but they don't need it to look interesting because you've got to read it anyway and you've got to know it. So they're thinking about their audience when they made that. They don't have to invite me. I can't carry on doing the job unless I read it. So, although it would have been nice if they put a few pictures in, but they didn't have to. So again, it's about thinking about who this is for, what impression you want to give, etc. Okay. Does anybody else want to say anything about either of those compare and contrast slides?
It also depends with the message. It also depends with the message it conveys, because this is on mental health. Maybe somebody holding the arm of the other one.
Yeah. So
and the other one is referring to the system of government.
Yeah, so the style in which it's presented relates to what it is actually saying and what the message it wants to give to people. That's very true. Yeah. So really, it's worth thinking about. It sounds like a tiny little thing. These are all just title pages, but you can presume that the style runs through the whole report, that this is the title page of. Really worth thinking when you do a report, how you want that to be presented. Even links to it, you know, if you've got it on your website or in a newsletter, how you present that link to it, what makes somebody click on it, you know, and a picture of the actual report is quite a good method. Okay, we're going to move on, and I'm now starting on that structure that I mentioned before. So I'm going through from the beginning of the report to the end of the report. There'll be things that aren't relevant to the particular report you want to do. That's fine. We can't cover absolutely every style. This is largely based, I have to say, on an evaluation report, because that's what I most often do, which would be evaluating a project or an activity at the end of it. So you start with a title. What you're going to call it. What was that one we had? A guide for authorized people. Does what it says on the tin, I suppose, but you might want to call it something a little bit more engaging, something that draws people in. On the other hand, you don't want people to be confused about what it is. Presumably, you want people to be clear. This is what this report is about. So the wrong people don't start reading it. Sorry, did somebody speak?
No, it's okay. It can be about the culture of some country.
Yeah. Yeah, you mean culture affects how this might be portrayed, how this might be put over.
Yeah.
Very right.
Asian culture, or we can title it like Indian culture, for example.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
What I can see from the color, so I guess.
Yeah. Oh, you like my my Indian picture here. Now, why did I put that? I had a reason for all these pictures. Oh, I know what it was. It was contents, which I'm going to talk about. Not a lot. There's not a lot to say about contents, but I was thinking about ingredients that make up the different sections that make up a report. Is a bit like the different ingredients that make up a recipe. So here I've done my Indian spices and so on. They're not mine. I got it off the internet. Some of the pictures are mine. See if you can spot which ones. So yeah, you're thinking, what messages do we want to relay? What are we saying in the title? We've chosen our colors and our presentation and our pictures and our style, but what do we actually want to say with the words that we use? So once you've chosen a title, think about whether you want to have a contents list. I would say, if it's a long report, have a contents list. If it's an online report and you know how to do that thing where you click on a chapter or a contents item and it jumps to that item, if you know how to do that, that can be really helpful. If it's a short report, you know, just 3 or 4 sides, then I wouldn't bother with a contents list, but there's no rule about it. But again, it can make it look professional if that's the thing you're going for, to have a contents list. And if you do the thing online, you know, the electronic version where you can click on something on the contents and it then goes to that thing, sometimes people appreciate that because they don't have to read through everything, and they can look down the contents and think, oh, I'm interested in that bit. If you've got different sections to your report, if when you get to the activity that you're reporting on, that activity has got separate reports for each section. Say you run an evening class for people to learn English whose first language isn't English, and it's a 10-session program, and you might want in your report, when you get to reporting on that activity, to have 10 separate reports, one by one, in which case it would be helpful to list those in your contents so that people can jump to that one and think, oh, I'd like to see how things were in the mid session, in the 5th or 6th session. You know, I'm interested in that. So that can help people guide them around it. But it's not a big deal whether you have contents or not. Don't spend a lot of time worrying about it. The next bit on this slide is the most important bit, which is the introduction or the rationale. And it can be either or both an introduction and a rationale. They're slightly different things. An introduction is literally saying what it is, what this report is, what it's doing. A rationale is more about saying how it's come about, why it's come about, what it's looking to demonstrate or evidence. So think about what goes into your introduction. A lot of the time, it is true, I'm sure you know from reading reports, you don't bother reading the introduction. I hope that funding bodies do, I hope that courts do, I hope that certain stakeholders do, but most of us don't. So I would say don't spend too much time worrying about it. On the other hand, it is the first thing, if they do read it, it's the first thing people read or see. So you don't want it to look naff. You might use something on your introduction, something that's part of it that does engage people if you really want people to read it. So you might use a picture or a border around it, or do it in a different font, or it's quite common, I know, you know, to do like the CEO of an annual report might do the introduction and have their name at the bottom with their job title or something. They could have a picture of them, anything, even a picture of the most, I was going to say something disparaging about people, so I won't. I was going to say the most horrible looking or something, which isn't very nice. But you know, it doesn't have to be somebody gorgeous. Just the fact that it's a human being might well draw people in and make them go to that. And you know, if you've taken the trouble to do an introduction, you probably do want people to read it, especially if it is leaning towards that rationale side of things. You want people to know what this report is about. We're going to come back to each of these sections when we think about wording and everything later, so don't worry about that, but we're just going through each section at the moment. And I'm aware that we haven't got a lot of time left and I haven't let you have a break, but I did say you could go to the toilet whenever you wanted, so I'll try not to feel too guilty. Next section in a report is the background to that report. You might sometimes include that in an introduction, that's fine, but there's likely to be a little bit more of a tale to tell. How did this report or the project that it's reporting on, how did it come about? Who's involved? Who are the key players? What bits of it are you wanting people to focus in on? And what process has brought you to this point where you're reporting on it? What's gone on? What's happened? So it might be about you, the report writer. It might be about your organization. It's most likely, I would say, to be about your organization. It's most likely to mention the project or the activity that you're reporting on. again, to give some background. So if it is a report on a project that you've had funded and you're reporting back on how that project went, then you're going to want to set the scene by saying, this is Pretty Trees charity, and Pretty Trees charity works to make sure all our trees are very pretty in the countryside. I'm sure you'd say it a lot better than that, but you're telling people where you're coming from. And the report has been put together by so and so and so and so, who both work on the Pretty Trees report writing department. So you're telling people what's gone on. And then you might go on to say what the report covers, and how that is an important part of the organisation that it's coming from. So Pretty Trees charity works to make trees much prettier in the countryside, and we've produced this report because we want to show how our plant daffodils project went, that was funded by blah de blah. So you're telling people the background to what it is you're about to deliver a report on. Okay, the next bit is the main body of your report. Is what actually happened. And it's surprising how often people can skim over what happened, because they might say, oh, we did this great project and it was really successful and everybody felt much better as a result of it. And so really you should give us some money to do it again. And then people reading the report are going, yeah, but what happened? What actually happened? This is where your preparation, you'll be glad you did it, because you'll be looking back through your notes, through your recordings of activities, through your photographs, through things people have written, through the little evaluations, through the feedback you've got. You'll be looking at all of that and saying, okay, how do I describe what actually happened? Again, we're going to come back to this bit in particular in detail and look at some of the ways of reporting, particularly on observations. But for now, just important to know what you might want to include. You might want to bring out some highlights, and again, going back to format and presentation, you can do that in boxes or next to pictures, or in a different font or a different color, something that brings out the key moments, I guess. You might include a case study or more than one in the same way, kind of separated from the main body of the report. You'll talk about what actually happened, but also any problems you ran into. If it is an evaluation report, it's really good to find some problems you ran into to show that you overcame them. If everything went super swimmingly, and there was just no issues, then it's much harder to demonstrate that you came across an obstacle or a challenge and you found a way to overcome it. So I would say there's usually something that was a bit of a problem. Get it in there. Don't be afraid to mention it and show how you came over it. So yeah, any of the challenges you faced and any feedback highlights, you'll have a separate bit where you're doing feedback and evaluation, but here in the description of what happened, you might include key things that people said, and they can be inserted into your general narrative. Your general narrative is going to say, we ran 10 sessions teaching Portuguese people English, where it wasn't their first language and they were new to the country. 39 people attended, and the first session was an introduction, and then you go through your sessions and say describe them and say what you did. As I say, we're going to come back to looking at the detail of that in probably tomorrow's session. I can't remember. Okay. We now got a exercise where I want only 2 groups. And we're going to look at the Jamboard again. Just getting mine up. And we're going to look at pages 3 and 4. If group 1 can do page 3, I mean, yeah, group 2 could do page 4. And we're going to look a little bit at how you describe activity that you've observed. And what I want in particular is you to bring out the words on this little description that's on Jamboard, the words that are purely observation. They're just what you saw happen. And then the other words that are comment, analysis, opinion. Yeah. So we've got pure observation and then other things. And you can do this on Jamboard. If you go to, you can all look at page 3, even if you're going to be doing page 4. You can do it at the top of the tools on the left. There's a pen, and if you click on that, it'll give you various options, one of which is a highlighter. If you take the highlighter, make it a certain color, and then you can go along the words. Can people see what I'm doing on Jamboard? You can go along the words and highlight the things that are comments, and then you can do a different color, get a different color of highlighter, and do the things that are purely observations. Yeah. Elect somebody in your group to be the person that operates the Jamboard and does that, and just spend 3 minutes discussing in your group what is pure observation and what is comment or analysis. Is
so
that
Sally, I'm just gonna, it's just 2 groups then?
Yes, just 2 groups.
And we're going to
Yeah.
give them 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So everyone, just to reiterate, go to Jamboard and make sure you, at the top, you'll see the sign for the pages, arrow along to page 3, and then you're going to be highlighting a particular part of that copy.
So one group are on page 3 and one group are on page 4.
Okay. How are we going to know who's in which?
You just put people into 2 groups.
Yeah.
Call one group A, group 1 or group A, and they're on page 3, and the other on page 4. Yeah.
Okay. Right. So I'm in room 1 is going to be group. So I'm just going to concentrate on this. Not very good at multitasking. Breakout rooms, 2 breakout rooms, and whoever's in room 1 is going to do the first page, being page 3. Whoever's in breakout room 2 is going to be looking at page 4. I'm putting you all in rooms. No. Now the only people who are left, who I haven't gone in, Sanjeet, I'm not able to put you in a room. It didn't happen last time as well. I don't know if you can hear me.
I wonder why that is.
Yeah. It's the only person who hasn't been able to go in a room. I don't know if Sanjeet's there, if you're able to send me a message if you can hear me at all. Right, so we'll give them 3 minutes. And then we're finishing at 11:30, aren't we, Sally?
Yeah, we'll finish when people come back from this. I'm just going to put one of the passages into comment, into chat. So Sanjay could have a look at that.
Mm.
I'll put them both there.
Toby?
Yes?
Sorry, I have to go. I've got another meeting.
Okay, no worries. See you
Right.
tomorrow, Joy.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Right, I'm going to close all the rooms now, Sally.
Okay.
We've got 1 minute and then everyone will be back.
Oh,
Hi, Shanji.
yeah, I don't know. I'm gone lost somehow.
Don't worry, everyone's coming back to us. Sometimes these things happen. I sometimes bounce
Okay.
around in different rooms and sometimes these things happen, but don't worry.
Sorry about that.
I saw the other day one of your sons was in the background. Is he around today to help you if you get stuck?
No, I've got no. He's gone to work today. Off last week for a few days, and
It must be handy to have someone to help.
he's zooming about his wedding.
Zooming about.
he's getting married soon, so he's busy with his work.
Okay, everyone's back from.
All right, everyone. I'm a stickler for timekeeping, so I'm not going to go over time. I'm going to stop now, and we will pick up where we left off when we come back together tomorrow. We've not got quite as far as I had hoped and wanted, but I hope that's because for good reason, that people have been getting involved. So it might go at a quicker pace tomorrow. If you can't find my my end of session, oh, there it is. If you would like to email me any questions that you have that you want particularly covered in tomorrow's session, and if I don't cover them tomorrow, I will cover them another time with you. I'll get back to you, I promise. Then this is my direct email address, s.ward@cvsbrent.org.uk. So I'll just leave that there for a minute before I stop the session, or before you stop the session, Toby, and let people write it down. And then do let me know, and I promise we will pick up where we left off yesterday, and then I will also attempt to cover any particular issues that people have. All right?
That's great. Well, from my perspective, it's been very good because I like it that it's interactive. A lot of training can just be someone just talking, and when you're sat at home, it's harder to concentrate. So I'm certainly enjoying the interaction of the Jamboard. Unfortunately, tomorrow I won't be able to be at the second part, but my colleague Noika is going to be attending on my behalf, and will help you with all the breakout rooms and everything. But and everyone, yeah, the link to tomorrow is still in that email that I sent out with the first link. There's just another link tomorrow. So yeah, I hope you enjoy the training tomorrow. And yes, Thank you very much, Sally.
Thank you.
All right. All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good day.
Bye.
Looking forward to
Thank you.
tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was
Bye.
very effective. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.